So if you had to say what the worst nightmare scenario would be in running a bonsai nursery, what would you say? Maybe like super cold temperatures in the winter, or too much humidity and high temperatures in the summer, maybe an issue with wind coming through, for example. Well, what about lack of water? That to me is the absolute worst nightmare scenario at a bonsai nursery, and that is exactly what we're experiencing right now at Eisei-en. So on New Year's Eve night, went to bed, right after midnight, right after we celebrated the start of 2021. My wife gets up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. She goes to turn on the water at the faucet, and there's no water coming out. So she wakes me up in a panic, no idea what's going on, and there's nothing we can do in the middle of the night, so decide to wait until the next morning and go out and test to see if we've got a leak in our pipe somewhere. Well, it turns out the pipe that's actually feeding our house and the nursery here has completely split in two. It's gushing water, so we've turned off the water down at the meter at the road, but we've got no water for the trees. So I'm absolutely freaking out right now. We've got guys coming out today to help fix it, but I have no idea how long that's going to take. So it's not supposed to rain today, it's not supposed to rain tomorrow, so I am very nervous about the plants here. It rained just a day ago, so I think that should hopefully hold us over until we can get it fixed, but fingers crossed. So I'll show you exactly what the water pressure looks like right now. We've got just a little bit of a trickle that's coming out, so the trees that are super dry, we can give them some water, but we've got hundreds of trees here in the nursery, and I'm really afraid that a large majority of them are going to dry out before we can get things fixed. So fingers crossed. I'll take you guys through the process. We'll see what we can make happen. All right, so the distance from the meter at the road to the nursery is about 1/3 of a mile long. So, we're out here in the countryside, and this is just what we have to contend with. We're not close to the road. We've got a long gravel driveway, and we've got to connect from the road to the house, basically. So, some of you guys might be asking me, well, why don't you just build a well here for the nursery? The problem is it's all limestone under the ground here, so to actually dig a well would be prohibitively expensive. So we've just got to contend with what we have here in the water lines. Now, right behind me here, this is actually where the water is leaching out, and it's actually kind of a blessing in disguise because I can actually tell or pinpoint exactly where the leak is. We don't have to have some guys out and spend hours searching and listening for that leak. We actually know where it is, and I'll show you right behind me here where it's leaching out. So Cameron's finishing watering up the trees right now. I'm going to go ahead and shut the water off as soon as I get a call from him, and then the guys who are supposed to come fix this should be out shortly. So again, fingers crossed, hopefully this works and we can get it all back on track by the end of the day. So with everything that happened in 2020, with the whole coronavirus situation and everybody being on lockdown and it just being a crappy year altogether, I told myself at the very end of the year that 2021 was going to be different. It's going to be a fantastic year. Things are going to change. Everything should go back to normal and we can get the nursery back up and running on track like it was before. Well, unfortunately, 3 hours into the year had a different plan for us already, and we're contending with this right now at the nursery. So, there's nothing we can really do about it. This is just part of, again, living in the countryside and dealing with running a bonsai nursery. This is one of those things that might crop up on occasion. So hopefully it'll be years and years again or never again that this happens, but, it is what it is. So happy 2021, everybody. Okay, so after 4 days of pinching my butthole real tight, waiting for the water to get cut back on, we finally now have water back in the nursery here. So I am so happy that we were able to get this water back on. You know, the reason we had to wait is because, like I told you guys before, it cut off on basically New Year's Eve going into New Year's Day. So no one was working on New Year's Day. Everything was shut down on that Saturday and Sunday following New Year's Day. So we had to wait around until Monday to even make the call. And then it was another day before they could come out here and actually get it fixed. So I feel super relieved right now. Nothing dried out too much, and we made it through this nightmare of a situation. So not everything this year started out poorly like this. There was actually something really cool that happened. I want to hop into the workshop and show you exactly what that is before we finish out this episode of In the Workshop. So at the very end of 2020, actually on New Year's Eve, this package arrived from Japan. I opened it up, and inside this package was this beautiful kiribako here, and inside of the kiribako was this awesome kakejiku, or hanging scroll. So it turns out my wife for Christmas had actually ordered and gotten this custom made for me in Japan and shipped over to the United States. So on the outside here it says ume ni uguisu, which basically ume obviously is Prunus mume, so flowering apricot. Uguisu is a Japanese warbler, so a type of bird, and you see this kind of bird kind of pop up in the springtime. You can start to hear its song as spring rolls around. So open the scroll up, and as you can see, it's got ume and an uguisu right there written on or drawn on the scroll. So I thought this would be a perfect scroll to display for our end of the year, beginning of the new year. We've got what's basically amounting to a shochikubai display, which is a very traditional type display in Japan. We've got the matsu, which is the sho. We've got chiku, which is bamboo down here. Normally you'd say it take, but when you say it with the onyomi, where you combine it with other characters, it becomes chiku. And then bai is ume. That's also the onyomi, or the way you read it when you combine characters together. So this is a very traditional end of year, beginning of new year display. You've got, again, a sho chikubai, and I thought this was absolutely perfect. One last thing I want to show you here. On the inside of the box, it actually says my name here and then from your wife in Japanese. So I thought that was kind of cool. So despite the fact that we started out the year crappy with the broken water pipe, I think this is a good way to kind of forget about that and move on and have a great 2021.